For decades, Sylvester Stallone represented resilience. From writing and starring in Rocky after years of rejection to becoming one of Hollywood's biggest action stars, his career has been defined by perseverance rather than luck. But at 79, public attention has shifted away from blockbuster premieres toward questions about his health, family life, legacy, and what this stage of his life truly looks like. Recent appearances, interviews, and the reality series documenting his family have offered viewers a different side of Stallone, one that contrasts sharply with the larger-than-life characters he portrayed on screen. Behind the famous muscles and unforgettable movie moments is a man reflecting on aging, loss, fatherhood, and the passage of time. So, what has really happened to Sylvester Stallone at 79? Is the emotional reaction surrounding him based on fact, or has the internet exaggerated the story? The answer reveals a far more human journey than many expected. Long before the world knew Sylvester Stallone as one of Hollywood's most recognizable action stars, his life was marked by hardship and uncertainty. Born on July 6, 1946, in New York City, Stallone entered the world under difficult circumstances. Complications during his birth damaged a facial nerve, leaving the left side of his face partially paralyzed. The injury affected his speech, smile, and overall appearance, features that would later become instantly recognizable but initially made him a target for criticism and rejection. His childhood offered little stability. His parents' troubled relationship eventually ended in divorce, and Stallone spent much of his early life moving between households. He struggled in school, often feeling isolated and misunderstood. By his own account, he attended several schools, many of which viewed him as a difficult student. Yet beneath the frustration was a growing determination to prove that his limitations did not define his future. As a young man, Stallone dreamed of becoming an actor, but Hollywood showed little interest. Casting directors frequently rejected him because of his appearance and distinctive voice. To support himself, he accepted a series of low-paying jobs while continuing to study acting and write screenplays. Each rejection reinforced a difficult reality. Talent alone would not be enough. He would have to create his own opportunity. That opportunity arrived after watching the unforgettable 1975 heavyweight championship fight between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. Inspired by Wepner's unexpected resilience, Stallone wrote the screenplay for Rocky in just a few days. Studios loved the script, but they wanted established stars in the leading role. Stallone refused to sell it unless he could portray Rocky Balboa himself, a decision that risked everything he had worked toward. Few believed that gamble would succeed. But the choice he made would change not only his own future, but the history of modern cinema. Against nearly every expectation, Sylvester Stallone's gamble paid off. Released in 1976, Rocky became an international phenomenon. Produced on a modest budget of just over $1 million, the film earned more than $225 million worldwide and won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. More importantly, it transformed Stallone from a struggling actor into one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood almost overnight. His insistence on playing Rocky Balboa had not been an act of stubbornness. It had been a belief in a character whose determination mirrored his own life. Rather than fading after one success, Stallone expanded his career throughout the late 1970s and 1980s. The Rocky sequels continued to attract audiences, while another role changed his career forever. In 1982, he introduced John Rambo in First Blood. Unlike the nearly unstoppable action hero the character later became, the original Rambo was portrayed as a troubled Vietnam veteran struggling with trauma and isolation. The performance demonstrated that Stallone could combine physical intensity with emotional vulnerability. As action films grew increasingly popular, Stallone became one of the defining stars of the era. Alongside blockbuster franchises, he maintained an extraordinary physical training routine and performed many demanding action sequences himself. Years of explosions, fight choreography, and repeated injuries gradually took a toll on his body. Broken bones, muscle tears, and multiple surgeries became an unavoidable part of sustaining the image audiences expected to see on screen. Hollywood also became more competitive. New stars emerged, audience tastes evolved, and not every project achieved commercial success. Critics began asking whether Stallone's era was beginning to fade. Yet instead of walking away, he searched for another way forward. The next chapter of his career would prove that surviving Hollywood required something far greater than physical strength. It required the ability to reinvent himself before the industry decided his story was over. By the time Sylvester Stallone reached the age of 79, the conversation surrounding him had changed dramatically. Instead of focusing on upcoming action films or box office records, many online headlines began speculating about his health, appearance, and future. Social media posts frequently exaggerated ordinary signs of aging into alarming rumors, with some falsely suggesting that he was seriously ill or retiring permanently. In reality, publicly available information presents a far different picture. Stallone has continued working while openly acknowledging that decades of physically demanding films have left lasting effects on his body. Throughout interviews over the years, he has discussed undergoing multiple surgeries related to injuries accumulated while filming fight scenes, performing stunts, and maintaining the demanding physical condition required for roles such as Rocky Balboa and John Rambo. Those injuries are part of the price he paid for building one of Hollywood's most physically intense careers. Audiences have also seen a different side of Stallone through his family's reality series, The Family Stallone. Rather than portraying an invincible action hero, the program shows him as a husband and father navigating everyday family life with Jennifer Flavin and their daughters. Viewers witness moments of humor, reflection, and vulnerability that contrasted sharply with the fearless characters who made him famous. The series revealed someone increasingly comfortable discussing aging, fatherhood, and the importance of spending time with loved ones. For many longtime fans, seeing Stallone at this stage of life has been unexpectedly emotional. The reaction is not rooted in a shocking revelation, but in the realization that even larger-than-life legends grow older. Time eventually reaches everyone, regardless of fame or success. Yet Stallone was not ready to let age define the final chapter of his story. Instead, he chose to reinvent himself once again, this time not through physical strength, but through experience, wisdom, and a legacy still being written. For many actors, reaching their late 70s signals the end of a career. Major roles become less frequent, audiences shift toward younger stars, and retirement often becomes the expected next step. Sylvester Stallone, however, has approached this period differently. Rather than trying to compete with a version of himself from 40 years ago, he has gradually embraced roles and projects that reflect the realities of aging while allowing him to remain creatively active. That willingness to evolve has become one of the defining characteristics of his later career. Instead of relying solely on explosive action sequences, Stallone has focused more on storytelling, character development, and mentoring younger performers. His return as Rocky Balboa in the Creed films demonstrated this transition perfectly. No longer the underdog fighter chasing a championship, Rocky had become a mentor passing on hard-earned lessons to a new generation. The performance earned widespread critical praise and reminded audiences that emotional depth could be just as compelling as physical strength. Beyond acting, Stallone has continued writing, producing, and contributing creatively behind the scenes. Those responsibilities reconnect him with the passion that launched his career decades earlier when he wrote Rocky before anyone believed in him. Rather than chasing every blockbuster opportunity, he has become more selective, choosing projects that align with his interests and experience. His public image has also evolved. Through interviews and television appearances, Stallone has shown a willingness to laugh at himself, discuss past mistakes, and acknowledge the physical challenges that accompany age. That honesty has made him more relatable to many fans who have grown older alongside him. Instead of presenting an illusion of invincibility, he has embraced authenticity. Still, one important question remains unanswered. When future generations look back on Sylvester Stallone's remarkable journey, what part of his legacy will stand above everything else? The action hero, the writer, the survivor, or the man behind the fame? As Sylvester Stallone enters his 8th decade, his legacy reaches far beyond the films that made him famous. While millions remember the unforgettable training scenes from Rocky or the explosive battles of Rambo, those characters represent only part of his contribution to cinema. His greatest achievement may be proving that determination and self-belief can overcome obstacles that seem impossible at first. The story behind Rocky has become almost as influential as the film itself. Stallone's decision to reject lucrative offers because he insisted on playing the lead role remains one of Hollywood's most remarkable examples of creative conviction. Had he accepted the larger paycheck and stepped aside, his career, and perhaps film history, might have unfolded very differently. That decision continues to inspire aspiring actors, writers, athletes, and entrepreneurs who see persistence as a path to opportunity rather than a guarantee of success. His career has never been without setbacks. Some films disappointed critics, others struggled at the box office, and changing trends forced him to adapt repeatedly. Off-screen, he experienced painful personal losses, physical injuries, and the emotional weight that comes with decades in the public eye. Yet those challenges have become part of what makes his story resonate. Rather than presenting an image of uninterrupted success, Stallone's life reflects resilience through failure, grief, reinvention, and perseverance. At 79, the emotional response many people feel when they see him is not because a tragic secret has suddenly been revealed. It is because they are watching someone who once seemed larger than life face the same reality that every person eventually encounters: the passage of time. His strength today is measured less by physical endurance than by wisdom, family, and perspective. Sylvester Stallone's story is ultimately not about becoming a legend. It is about remaining human while carrying the weight of that legend. And perhaps that is the legacy that will endure long after the final credits have rolled.